discretion advised.
As a general rule, if you're focused in the beginning on a particular topic, you want to stay in that lane, stay in your zone, and make content focused on that particular topic. Because when somebody chooses to click that subscribe button, there is a agreement, the idea that they are going to expect that particular kind of content going forward. And anytime you deviate from that, you always run the risk of losing subscribers.
I have to completely redo the intro, Tabby. It didn't record any of it. This video is going to be an homage to my favorite YouTube repair channel, Tronics Fix. Steve, don't hold it against me. Best I could do. Here's a $95 return. Worked when I shipped it out. I tested it. It's a vacuum pump. This side sucks, that side blows. It's not that hard. On and off switch. They said that the fan didn't turn. There's a fan in there. And they sent it back. And it's more than just the fan. Nothing turns. You plug it up, and you can hear the sound of a motor in a bind, that sound. So, and of course it's put together with safety screws, some sort of slotted Torx bit. So I gotta find the appropriate tool to get into it. Hopefully it's just moving something around and nothing's actually broken. Thought that was a crack there for a minute, but it's just a mark. I don't know if they sent back the right one or not. They're not individually numbered, and I had two of them. It looks like the one I sent them. I'm going to assume it was the one I sent them, and it just got shaken in the mail so bad that it no longer works. I don't know if you're... I know you can make a claim, right? Anybody can claim anything. It don't make it true, and it don't mean that anybody else is going to see your point of view. But you could file a USPS claim, but it's going to be hard to prove when the box isn't pierced or crushed, and there's no obvious damage to the housing of the unit. You'd be more likely to get paid if you take this outside and run over it with the truck, and then take your pictures and file your claim. But we're going to stop a little short of mail fraud with this particular case. we're going to just put it up to the side until we have time to work on it, and we're just going to give this lady her money back. You hear it? We don't want to burn it out, so that's all we're going to do it. I don't know, Tabby. Looks like he's kind of tired of playing to me. Welcome back, YouTube viewers. What you're looking at is the heart of a Barrett vacuum pump. This vacuum pump sells for about $225 or more, brand new. I sold this one used, at least I think it was this one, used for $95 delivered. Can you see the corrosion? I have put some oil on it, and it kind of obscured some of the corrosion, but this entire aluminum plate is corroded. This bearing is rusted. This center shaft is seized. This bolt is rusted. The stator is rusted to the field coils, or whatever it's called in this particular motor. And the whole thing is just one solid chunk right now. We're going to try to break it loose. I wanted to take a moment to talk smack about Tool Bench Hardware Spray Lubricant. I do not know where I got it, but if anyone out there is familiar with the smell of axle grease, it's very pungent, it's very distinctive. That's exactly what that smells like. And it comes out this horrible yellow-brown foaming. It just gets everywhere. It's really bad. So stick with the good old WD-40, or as my buddy downtown Johnny Brown used to say, that DW-40 is good for everything. So yeah, let me apply some brute force and see if I can't finish breaking this. After generous use of good old water displacement Formula 40, I have managed to get it broken loose, and it is now turning freely, although I will sit out here and turn it 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 some more. I probably turned it 15 minutes before I turned the camera on, and I'll turn it. You hear that gunshot? We have new neighbors, and well, gunshots are a fairly normal thing out in the country, so don't get all worked up if you hear a few gunshots in the background of my videos. It's just rednecks. And if you hear gunshots and then followed by screams or sirens, then you might get concerned and leave a comment. Otherwise, forget about it. So anyway, yes, I'm going to spray more WD-40 into the crevices, because if this doesn't work, the next thing is take it apart, and that's more difficult naturally. So we're going to hope and pray that this works. We're going to lube it up, turn it, lube it, turn it, try to get whatever crap was built up in there sprayed out, and then we're going to let it dry thoroughly, because WD-40 is a petroleum distillant. This is an electric engine, so we don't want to hook it straight to the power, burn the place down. No use in doing that. So we're going to let it dry, and then we're testing it in a controlled environment, let's say. Anyway, wish us luck, or wish me luck. Hopefully I need to tell no one that this is ill-considered and unwise, that this is not supposed to be used on that. You should use some cleaner like SSD, except last time I checked that was like $23 a can. So we're going to make do with what we got, but by no means should you follow my example. So do not do that. Bad. Yeah, well, that didn't work. Has to be taken apart. Parts have to be sanded, cleaned, put back together. A couple of those appear to be press-in bearings. You have to start asking yourself, is it worth it? Yeah. So that's where we're at now. Well, no fire anyway, so that's a good thing. So, haven't given up yet. We're just gonna keep on till we break it for real or fix it once. It just keeps getting worse and worse. That's the piston. This is the cylinder. This is the reed valve. The yellow dot goes up. Not that I'll ever have to worry about that. Because to reassemble it, it would have to be worth putting back together. This cylinder here, this after I cleaned it, I don't know if you can tell how nasty it is, but that's pretty bad. And it is badly scored. Right there with my finger. It is real badly scored. That's the rough spot I keep hitting when I'm turning the motor over, is that. And I don't know if I can polish that out. I definitely don't think I have the items to hand to do that correctly. So this may be a project for another day. Or a few pounds of scrap metal, one or the other. What's that saying? One step forward, two steps back. Felt like that since I've started working on this thing. The cylinder is clean. What I thought was a scarification on the inner surface was actually a buildup of some type of substance. Someone has spilled something in this machine at one point in time. There's what's remains that I couldn't clean out. I scraped a lot of it out. It whatever it was left a crusty residue which built up. Since this is the back of this is open, it actually got some in there and it built up at the bottom, and that's what I was sealing. So this part is okay. Now, on to the two steps back I was talking about. That is a sealed bearing. That means you can't oil it. And it is made into this plastic plunger. It does not come out the other side. Focus. It does not come out the other side. It is sealed. And of course that's stamped too, so. Oh well, enough with the camera. The point is, that's hard to turn. And if I can't get that freed up, pump ain't gonna work. So, yeah. And even if I do get it freed up, there's nothing to say it wouldn't rust again. So, yeah. That's where we're at right now. What are we, like 4.5 hours into this now? Not consistently, but still. Let's see what we got. See if it stops. It's been stopping. I'll loosen this part up. Can't leave it like this. That bearing right there is still giving me problems. I'm going to let it run and see if the bearing gets hot. They'll let me know if the bearing's actually bad or if I might be able to salvage it. I don't know. Something is off. The alignment between this shaft and this cylinder head is set to these screws. something off. It keeps wanting to bind up. When we tighten these down to what it should be, that binding. So, still got problems, but we're closer than we were. And I just tightened the screws up. Those two. This is the head, this is the reed valve, this is the piston, this is the shaft, obviously. And somewhere in here it is out of adjustment, out of alignment. I have tightened this up just snug, and that's pretty much all we get. You can help it along. It's just real stiff. So you saw what it was doing when you loosen this up. So somewhere we got to find a happy medium. Something or another. Some kind of shim or... Ooh, I don't know. A little bit of luck. I wouldn't turn down a little bit of luck right now. That's actually a positive sign. That was causing the motor to bind up before. Anytime I'd stop the suction, it would make this jaw closed, and then it would make the motor work harder, and it would just lock up. It's turning freely right now, freer than it's ever turned. So maybe y'all brought me a little bit of luck. I don't know. I'm definitely not going to call it fixed, but yeah, but as soon as I tighten these heads up, well, let's see what happens. Alright, tightened it up a quarter turn. That's how loose I had them. I had that much, just a quarter turn of thread worth of slack, so that this could like self-center. Yeah. Anyway, let's see what happens. The damn thing's working. I tightened it up and it's still running fine. The bearing is nice and cool. The motor's quite hot, but the bearing that I was worried about as a failure point is very cool. So that's good. It means there wasn't a lot of rust inside of the bearing. Yeah. I guess the next problem is getting it back in the case. But that's going to be a problem for another night. It's about my bedtime. So, good night, Man Mountain Link. And Shogun. Say good night, Shogun. Never had packaging do this before. This is, I have no idea how old. Bottle tube of white lithium grease made in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. bottle was white when I got it and hung it up on the pegboard at least 10 years ago. I didn't buy it new when I got it. I bought it from somebody's yard sale. But the bottle was white. So, as long as the grease is still greasy, that's all that's important, right? Compared to the white background, right? I think the grease has actually changed color. There was that one little plug stuck in the neck, so anyway, the tube isn't brittle, so thank God for small favors, right? This is soaked overnight with gunk super oil, another decade-old product. Tells you how much I use this stuff. If it can't be fixed with WD-40 and plain old engine oil, I don't know much what to do with it. But either way, the gunk super oil has been soaking all night. I'll remove the excess and then run the motor, and then clean both sides, run the motor again, clean both sides again, and apply some of this white lithium grease to both sides. If you can see my problem ended up being were that inner race and this outer sleeve. Oops, sorry, hold on. The white lithium grease was decided to get out of the tube, so I had to save that little blob. Okay, we're back. My initial problem, I believe, after all this time, was this inner race, which is pretty much physically attached to this hub of this eccentric. This inner race was rusted to this outer sleeve that protects the bearing. There's a thin line right there where it should be free to rotate, and that it was binding up because of whatever was sprayed or dripped or poured into this machine. It was so corrosive that it caused this bearing to, well, practically rust solid, as you see. But it also did quite a number on the eccentric, but it's just discolored the metal. So anyway, the bearing stayed cool during operation, and that's the important thing. Well, there you have it. That means I fixed it and I'm a genius, right? I wish. Yeah. Motor's running, but nothing else is happening. What has happened is I have installed the head to the air pump / vacuum pump 90 degrees or 180 degrees out of true. So let's take this son of a gun apart one more time. Well, I got it assembled correctly and tested this time before I put it back in the housing. So hopefully this is the last time we got to put this thing back together. Fucking gross. Absolutely gross. He knows she's going to throw that up in a little bit. Probably in my shoes. Oh, absolutely nasty. Just ahead. Maybe I won't have to buy as many cat treats. Alright, so sucks and it blows, just like a good girlfriend. So I reckon it's I'm not going to say ready to go back up for sale, because what's going to happen to this is I'm going to put it up for 3 to 6, 8 months, whatever. Then I'll take it back out and test it again, and if it works this well then, without me having to go back into it, then I'll sell it. If it does anything other than work properly when I pull it back out to test it, well, I won't be selling it on eBay anyway. But appreciate you watching the very first Man Mountain Link Fix It or Fail video where I did not fail. So, gotta be happy about that, huh? Man Mountain Link has once again totally outdone himself.